My in-laws attempted to hijack our honeymoon with a surprise family cruise, which we refused, leading to significant family drama. I'm 28, and I've been with my boyfriend Callum, 30, for 5 years. We met during my final year of college while I was interning at the marketing firm where he worked. Initially, I was hesitant about dating a co-worker, but Callum's charm and kindness quickly won me over. We kept things professional at the office, but outside of work, we fell hard for each other. After I graduated and started a job at a different company, we moved in together. The past 3 years have been amazing, despite challenges like when Callum lost his job due to downsizing and was unemployed for 6 months, or when I had to take a pay cut during the pandemic. Through it all, our bond has only grown stronger. Last month, during a weekend trip to the beach, where we had our first vacation together, Callum proposed. He got down on one knee at sunset, and I was so overwhelmed with happiness that I could barely speak through my tears. We immediately began planning our wedding for next summer. One of the first things we discussed was our honeymoon. Both of us love to travel, but financial constraints and work commitments have held us back. We've been saving for years for a dream 3-week trip to Europe after the wedding, excited to explore Paris, Rome, and Barcelona. Callum, a history buff, can't wait to see the ancient ruins in Rome, and I've been taking French classes for the past year in preparation for our time in Paris. We've spent countless evenings planning our itinerary and dreaming about the memories we'll create. Last week, we went to Callum's parents' house for our monthly family dinner, which started when his sister Caitlin, 26, was in town. 2 years ago, she moved back to town after a tough breakup and found herself in a dark place. Their mum, Elaine, thought regular family gatherings would provide support. Since then, it's become a tradition. Callum's dad, Bob, and Caitlin, along with her new husband Edward, have joined too. Caitlin and Edward got married just 6 months ago after a whirlwind romance, a small wedding hastily arranged because Caitlin discovered she was pregnant. The whole family is still adjusting to these rapid changes. During dinner, Bob excitedly brought up our upcoming wedding and inquired about our honeymoon plans. We eagerly shared details about our trip to Europe, and everyone seemed genuinely happy for us, especially since they knew we hadn't had the chance to travel much before. Then Elaine dropped a bombshell. She and Bob had been planning a surprise for their 35th wedding anniversary, a 2-week cruise to Alaska in August, right when Callum and I had scheduled our honeymoon. I was stunned. Elaine continued to elaborate on whale watching, glacier tours, and family bonding, but my heart sank as I realized our carefully laid plans were being upended. I noticed Caitlin's discomfort during Elaine's announcement. Later, she confided that she and Edward had also been planning a belated honeymoon for August, which they'd have to cancel if they joined the cruise. I felt a pang of sympathy for her, recognizing Elaine's tendency to make plans for everyone without considering existing commitments. Callum seemed torn. I could tell he was excited about the cruise idea, but he also understood how much our European trip meant to me. When Elaine asked for our thoughts, Callum hesitantly said it sounded great, but we'd need to discuss it on the drive home. I couldn't contain my frustration. I'm really frustrated. I told Callum how upset I was that his parents planned this trip without consulting us, especially since we're already set on our honeymoon. He suggested we could do both trips, but I reminded him that we've been saving for years for our Europe trip, and I only have 3 weeks of vacation a year, which we plan to use for the honeymoon. Callum then mentioned postponing our Europe trip to next year, but that felt crushing. I've been dreaming about this honeymoon for so long, and it feels like it's slipping away. I expressed that I didn't want to spend our honeymoon with his entire family. I wanted it to be just the 2 of us. I also brought up how this seems to be a pattern with his mom. I reminded him of when she insisted on throwing us an engagement party just a week after we got engaged, despite our desire for some private time, or when she encouraged us to buy a house in their neighborhood while we were searching for our first apartment. The past week has been tense. Callum's family keeps texting us about cruise details, asking if we're excited. Elaine even sent links to cruise websites and suggested renewing our vows on the ship. Never mind that we won't even be married yet. Callum says he doesn't want to disappoint his parents, especially since they've already put down deposits. But I feel like our wishes are completely ignored. I love his family, but I can't shake this resentment. This was supposed to be our special time as newlyweds, and now it feels more like a family reunion. I'm also worried about Caitlin. She confided that she's struggling with the idea of going on a cruise while pregnant, but is afraid to speak up to her mum. Callum thinks I'm being selfish and ungrateful for not appreciating his parents' generosity, but it's hard to see it that way. I believe my feelings are valid too. I've always tried to be accommodating to his family. I agreed to host Christmas at their place last year, even though it was supposed to be my family's turn. I helped Elaine plan Caitlin's baby shower, even while juggling a busy work schedule. I feel like I'm constantly compromising, and this honeymoon was meant to be about us. I'm also concerned about the precedent this sets for our marriage. If we give in now, will Elaine always expect to have a say in our plans? Will our lives revolve around her whims? I love Callum, but I worry he won't be able to set boundaries with his family once we're married. Am I being unreasonable for wanting to stick to our original honeymoon plans? Should I just go on the cruise, or should I stand firm about our Europe trip, even if it disappoints Callum's family? I'm feeling torn and could really use some outside perspective. Update 1. Thank you all for your support. Your comments gave me the courage to have a serious talk with Callum about the situation. I explained how important our original honeymoon plans were to me and how hurt I felt about his family steamrolling our wishes. To my relief, Callum understood where I was coming from. He admitted he had gotten caught up in the excitement of the cruise idea and hadn't fully considered its impact on our plans and my feelings. We had an open conversation about our priorities as a couple and the need to set boundaries with family. During our discussion, we addressed some deeper issues that had been simmering. Callum confessed that he often felt torn between pleasing his parents and making me happy. He grew up in a family where his parents' wishes were always prioritized, and he struggles with disappointing them. I shared my fears about always coming second to his family. We discussed the demands from Callum's family and my concern that this pattern might persist after we married. We also talked about Callum's sister, Caitlin, and her situation. Callum shared his worries that Caitlin seemed unhappy lately, and we both felt the cruise might not be ideal for her, especially since she was pregnant. After hours of discussion, we decided to stick to our original honeymoon plans in Europe. Callum agreed to talk to his parents about our decision, though he was nervous. We practiced what he would say, and I offered to support him during the call the next day. When Callum called his parents with me by his side, the conversation didn't go as smoothly as we hoped. Elaine was clearly disappointed and tried to guilt-trip us, mentioning the money they'd spent and how much the family was looking forward to our presence. She brought up her dream of a family cruise, claiming it would be the perfect way to welcome me into the family. Bob was a bit more understanding, but still encouraged us to reconsider, suggesting we could do both trips without grasping our financial and time constraints. At one point, he even offered to cover our Europe trip if we would agree to go on the cruise first. I was proud of how Callum stood firm. He explained that while we appreciated their generosity, we were committed to our European honeymoon and wanted that time alone as newlyweds. He also pointed out that they should have consulted us before making plans that affected our honeymoon. The conversation heated up when Elaine accused me of turning Callum against the family. But he quickly shut that down, asserting that this was our decision as a couple. He even mentioned Caitlin's situation, suggesting that a cruise might not be the best idea for her right now either. His parents weren't thrilled about our decision, but they eventually accepted it. They mentioned they'd try to get a refund on our portion of the deposits, and if not, they would cover the cost. Callum offered to pay them back, but they declined. The aftermath has been a bit awkward. Caitlin called me the next day, upset that we were ruining the family trip. I calmly shared our perspective, but it was clear she was still unhappy. During our conversation, she opened up about her own concerns about the cruise. I encouraged her to speak with her parents and assured her it was okay to prioritize her needs. Some family members have been giving us the cold shoulder on social media. Cumson posted a passive-aggressive status about ungrateful young people, which we suspect was directed at us. His cousin, also invited on the cruise, messaged Callum, accusing us of being selfish. Despite the family drama, I feel relieved that we stood our ground. Callum and I are now excitedly planning our honeymoon in Europe, and it feels even more special knowing we fought for it together. This experience has brought us closer and shown me how committed Callum is to prioritizing our relationship over family pressure. We've started looking at hotels in Paris, researching the best times to visit the Colosseum in Rome, and even considering adding a few days in Greece to our itinerary. Planning this trip together has reminded us of why we're getting married, to build a life full of adventures and shared experiences. This situation has also prompted us to have important conversations about our future. We've discussed how we'll handle holidays, how often we'll visit family, and how we'll make decisions as a couple. We've even started premarital counseling to ensure we're aligned on these important issues. We're still figuring out how to navigate family dynamics moving forward, and Callum suggested we start hosting some family gatherings at our place to help mend things. Sure, here's a revised version. We want to emphasize how much we value family time, and we're planning to have another conversation with Callum's parents once things settle down. We aim to establish some boundaries and expectations moving forward. For now, we're focusing on our upcoming wedding and the amazing honeymoon that awaits us. We're determined not to let any family drama overshadow our special day. While we anticipate some tension at the wedding, we're hopeful that by then everyone will have come around and be genuinely happy for us. Despite the stress, this experience has ultimately strengthened our relationship. We've learned the importance of communication, standing united, and prioritizing our bond. I feel more confident than ever that Callum and I can handle whatever challenges come our way in marriage. It's been about a month since my last update, and quite a bit has happened. The family tension over our decision to skip the cruise for our honeymoon has continued to simmer. Callum's mom, Ayla, has made passive-aggressive comments whenever we see her, and his sister, Caitlin, is still giving us the cold shoulder. We've been trying to keep things civil while focusing on our wedding plans and our upcoming trip to Europe. Most of our accommodations are booked, and I've been practicing my French and Italian. Callum even surprised me by signing us up for a couple's cooking class to learn how to make authentic Italian pasta. Despite the family drama, we remain excited about our future. Last week, things escalated at Callum's cousin's birthday party, where the entire family was present, including some extended relatives we hadn't seen in a while. At first, everything seemed fine. We chatted, played games, and enjoyed the food. However, after a few hours, the topic of the cruise came up. Ella began reminiscing about the fun activities planned, making pointed remarks like, "It's such a shame everyone won't be there to enjoy it." She went on about how it would be a special family bonding experience, which was quite difficult to hear. Throughout the evening, I noticed significant looks from Elaine as I tried to keep my composure, engaging in polite conversation and steering the topic away from the cruise. However, after a few drinks, I could no longer hold back. When Elaine made another comment about how some people don't appreciate family time, I snapped. I confronted her, saying her behavior was unfair and that she needed to respect our decision. I reminded her that we had shared our honeymoon plans months ago, and it wasn't right for her to guilt us into changing them. Things escalated quickly, with Elaine accusing me of being selfish and ungrateful. Soon, the entire family was involved. Caitlin chimed in, revealing she felt pressured about the cruise, especially given her pregnancy. Callum defended his mom, insisting she was just trying to do something nice for the family. The birthday boy looked mortified as the party turned into a family feud. But Callum backed me up, explaining to his mom that her behavior was pushing us away rather than bringing the family closer. He reminded everyone that a honeymoon is meant to be a special time for newlyweds, not a family vacation. The argument ended with Elaine in tears and Bob attempting to calm everyone down. We left the party early, both shaken by what had happened. On the drive home, we remained quiet, processing the night's events. While we felt terrible about how things escalated, there was also a sense of relief that the issues were finally out in the open. In the aftermath, Callum and I had another long conversation. We realized that this conflict was creating a significant rift in his family, and we needed to address it once and for all. We decided to invite his parents over for dinner to hash things out. The atmosphere was tense at first, Elaine barely made eye contact with me, and Bob seemed uncomfortable. But as we talked, some surprising truths began to emerge. It turned out that Elaine and Bob were facing some marital issues, and Elaine had hoped that this family cruise would help bring everyone closer together. She viewed our refusal to go as a rejection of the family. We explained our side again, emphasizing that it wasn't about rejecting anyone, but wanting to start our marriage with a special trip just for us. We also pointed out that springing this on us without any consultation wasn't fair. Callum shared how he felt torn between his parents and me, highlighting that this dynamic wasn't healthy for anyone. After much discussion, we finally reached a compromise. Callum and I would stick to our honeymoon plans in Europe, but we agreed to join the family for a long weekend at their lake house later in the year. This way, we could enjoy our special time together while also committing to family bonding. Elaine and Bob seemed satisfied with this solution, apologized for trying to pressure us into the cruise, and promised to be more considerate in the future. We also agreed to improve our communication to prevent misunderstandings like this from happening again. The atmosphere in the family has improved since then. Caitlin called to apologize for her behavior, admitting that she had been taking out her own frustrations on us. She and Edward have decided to skip the cruise too, opting for a relaxing baby moon instead. Most of the other family members have come around, realizing that the situation could have been handled better by everyone. This experience has been a valuable lesson in setting boundaries and navigating family dynamics as an engaged couple. It hasn't been easy, but I feel that Callum and I have come out stronger for it. We've learned the importance of standing our ground, communicating clearly, and finding compromises that work for everyone. Now we can finally focus on our wedding and honeymoon without any lingering tension. We're back to being excited about our Europe trip and are even thinking about sharing our experience with family. When we return, we're planning to host a dinner featuring dishes from each country we visited. Although there's still some tension, we feel like we're making progress. We're hopeful that by the time our wedding arrives, all of this will be behind us, allowing us to celebrate our love surrounded by a happy, supportive family. Chatragrao, Update 3. It's been 6 months since my last update, and I wanted to share how everything has turned out. Callum and I got married 2 months ago, and it was a beautiful day despite the earlier drama. The wedding went off without a hitch, with both families coming together to celebrate our love. The ceremony was everything we hoped for. We wrote our own vows, bringing tears to everyone's eyes. Even Elaine, who had been difficult before, beamed with pride as she watched her son get married. The reception was a joyous celebration filled with great food, dancing, and heartfelt toasts. It felt like all the tension from the past few months had melted away. After the wedding, we went on our European honeymoon, and it was absolutely magical. Everything we had dreamed of and more. We explored the charming streets of Paris, marveled at the ancient history in Rome, and enjoyed the vibrant culture and beaches of Barcelona. Having that time together as newlyweds was precious, reinforcing that we made the right choice in sticking to our original plans. One of the highlights of our trip was a cooking class in Tuscany, where we learned to make pasta from scratch while enjoying a stunning view of the Italian countryside. We sent pictures to Callum's family, and to our surprise, Elaine responded with genuine enthusiasm, saying she couldn't wait to hear all about our adventures. As for the family situation, things have improved significantly. True to our word, we joined Callum's family for a long weekend at their lake house last month. We were a bit apprehensive at first, but overall, it felt like a big step forward. What started as a tense situation turned into a truly enjoyable time. It felt like the family worked through some of their issues, and the whole dynamic became much more relaxed. We spent time kayaking on the lake, having barbecues, and playing board games in the evenings. It was refreshing to be together without the pressure of a big event or unresolved tensions. Caitlin and Edward brought their new baby, and it was heartwarming to see the family dote on the little one during our lake house trip. Elaine pulled me aside to apologize again for the cruise drama. She admitted that she had been projecting her own issues onto us and thanked us for standing our ground. It was touching to hear her acknowledge that seeing us so happy after our honeymoon helped her realize we had made the right choice. That moment really helped heal the remaining tension. Caitlin and I have also repaired our relationship. She confessed that she had felt jealous of our trip to Europe, which contributed to her initial reaction. We've since bonded over her experiences as a new mom, and she even asked me to be her daughter's godmother. Bob has made an effort to connect with us too. He started a tradition of monthly family game nights, which has been a fun, low-pressure way for everyone to spend time together. It's nice to see him taking an active role in bringing the family together while respecting everyone's boundaries. Looking back, while the conflict was stressful at the time, it ultimately strengthened our relationships. Callum and I learned valuable lessons about communication, boundary setting, and presenting a united front. His family learned to respect our decisions as a couple, and we all gained a better understanding of each other's perspectives. Now we're looking forward to the future with excitement. Callum and I are talking about starting a family of our own in the next year or two. We've begun saving for a bigger house and discussing how to balance our careers. With parenthood, it's exciting to envision our future together, knowing we can tackle any challenges that arise. We're already planning our next big trip, this time with the full support and understanding of our families. We're considering exploring Asia next year, and Elaine has even offered to help us research the best destinations. This experience has shown us that building a life together sometimes involves navigating tough situations. But with love, communication, and mutual respect, we can find solutions that work for everyone. I'm grateful for the growth we've all experienced and look forward to what the future holds for us as a family. As I look at Callum across the dining table, planning our next adventure together fills me with love and appreciation. We've come a long way since that tense family dinner months ago, and I'm proud of how we've evolved as a couple and as part of a larger family unit.